This video will take you through the basic functionality of the DialogMaster Pro app, which allows actors to memorize and rehearse a script without any scene partners present. So the first thing you want to do is, if you have a soft copy of the script, just go to the source email or PDF document, Word document or notes, copy the text and go back into the app, press on the notes icon in the nav bar and then paste the copied text into the notes field. You can now refer to this as you record your project, and it will also be available to refer to in the editing screen later. If you don't have the soft copy and you just have the script printed on paper, you don't have to worry about this part. You can go straight onto the recording. Once we press on the record icon to start recording, we then want to press on the record break icon after each line for each character. This is to separate character recordings for editing purposes later. Okay, let's get started with the example script provided. Our time. External fountain, late evening. John looks flustered as he walks briskly towards Sally. Where have you been? I've been looking for you. Where have you been? I've been waiting here the entire time. Come on, we're late. Lisa appears from behind the waterfall, with Steve limping behind her. They notice John and Sally heading towards them in a rush. Okay, so that's a quick example of how the record break function works. You can also discard the last recording if you make a mistake, so you just need to press on the pause icon and then press the discard icon, and that will remove that last recording. Now, once you're happy with the recording and you're ready to move on to the next stage, you just press on the next icon in the top right corner of the screen. That will then take you to the setup project screen where you can enter your own project name, and this is also where you add in all the character names so you can use it for editing purposes later in the project. Now, to add a character name, all you need to do is press on the little plus symbol next to the part where it says add character name, and then you can add in as many character names as you like. Once each character name has been entered, we then want to allocate a color to each of them by pressing on the little box to the right of each character name, and the color coded panel will appear. We just select the color that we want, and this will help us with editing purposes later. Once you've completed entering all of the character names and allocating a color to them, we then want to move into the editing screen, so press on the next icon, which immediately prompts us to tag the color coded character names to all the recordings in the timeline. To do this, you just select a character from the character panel. It is then highlighted. You then tap on the recordings that are in the timeline. You can do this by pressing play to listen to the audio, but you may also want to refer to the script at any stage. So if you don't have the hard copy piece of paper next to you, you can refer to the script that you saved earlier on at the start of the project. All you need to do is press on the notes icon in the nav bar, and you can scroll up and down and follow along with the audio as it plays. The only thing is that if you activate the notes screen, you've deactivated the tagging function, so you have to press on the tag audio function again in the nav bar to continue to tag up in the timeline. Once all the recordings have been tagged to their characters in the timeline, you can play the project back, you can open up the script, you can make sure that everything matches up correctly, and then you can apply edits to the project. You can group certain sections of the project together, and the main purpose of this is just to help you focus on just small sections of the script instead of having to focus on everything all at once. All you need to do is press on the group line icon in the edit panel and then go up into the timeline and select the first recording of the group that you want to select. Then scroll to the last recording of that group and hold down on the last recording, and it will highlight all of those recordings together. You can also tap on just individual cells as well and that will include that in the group in the order that it is in the timeline. Press the group line icon again and it will be saved. You can also skip recordings that you may not want to listen to in playback all the time, so simply press on the skip icon in the edit panel and then select the recording that you wish to skip, and then all you have to do is press on the skip line icon again and it will be saved. You can bookmark recordings just to keep track of where you are in larger projects, and you can insert new recordings by simply pressing on the insert record icon in the edit panel, record the new audio and then drag it down into the timeline. If there is a recording in the timeline that you do not want, you can simply select the delete icon in the edit panel, then select the recording you want to delete, say yes, and it's deleted from the timeline. Other than the bookmark function, another way to keep track of character recordings in large projects is to use the add line note function. This allows you to insert and display a note or text from the script that will appear in the top metallic band as the recorded cell passes under the timeline marker. Now, to do this, just locate the recording that you want to add the line note to. Once it is under the timeline marker, then double tap on the top metallic band where the name is and enter in the note or the line from the script as a reference point. Then press return on the keyboard and it will save. You can also go directly to the script by accessing the notes screen, highlight and copy the corresponding text with the recording, then go up into the top metallic band, double tap, hold down, press paste and return on the keyboard, and the line note will now be saved as a reference point anytime the recording moves under the timeline marker in playback. And most importantly, once you've rehearsed and memorized all of your own characters' lines, you can now apply the mute line command to the project, which basically means you can mute the audio for your character and you can actually say the words yourself, while all the other characters' lines will still be verbalized in the conversation. So all you need to do is press on the mute line icon in the edit panel and then select the recordings you wish to mute and then press on the mute line icon again and it will save. If you're at a point where you've memorized all of your characters' lines and you want to mute all of your characters' lines at one time, you can simply do that by going down to the mute all icon in the nav bar and then select the character that you wish to mute, and the mute icon will then appear on the character's name in the character panel to indicate that it has been muted. Other ways to check whether a character's recordings have been muted is to select the mute line icon and it will highlight everything that has been muted. And another way is to run the recordings under the timeline marker, and the small icons in the left corner of the top metallic band will indicate whether it has been muted or not. Once you're happy with the muted recordings, you can play the project back without being prompted. You can say your own character's lines without the recording saying it for you. And meanwhile, all other characters' lines will still be verbalized in the conversation. If you're finished with editing, you can now move into the project screen by pressing on the next icon in the top right corner of the screen, and this will now show you all of the projects that you've been working on, and here it gives you a number of playback options. You can group multiple projects together using the group function in the navbar. Simply press on the group icon, tap on the projects that you want to play in order. You'll see them numbered, and then press play and it will play them in order. So essentially, if you've been working on small sections of the script as each individual project, in this screen you can then group all of those individual projects together to create the entire script, which can be played in any order you select them in. You can also restart a project at any time by pressing on the restart icon in the navbar. You can also continuously repeat projects so they will play over and over again for rehearsal purposes. Plus there's the muting on-off icon in the navbar, which allows you to temporarily turn off any pre-saved muting from this screen. If you're finished using the project screen and you want to start a new project, simply press on the clapperboard at the top of the screen, select yes, and everything will be saved in the project screen, and you can now start again in the instant record screen. Now, if you want to access a previously saved project, just press on the projects icon in the navbar. You can then press on the little arrow to the left of the project name. It will then take you inside that project, so you can now edit it, change anything you want to, play it back, do whatever you have to do, and then once you're happy with those changes, press on the next icon in the top right corner again. It will take you back into the project screen for playback and grouping and anything else you need to do. If you want to delete a project, then simply swipe from the right side of the project to the left. The delete icon will appear. Press on the delete icon. Are you sure? Yes, and it will be deleted permanently. On the other hand, if you want to save multiple versions of the same project, you can do this by going inside the editing screen of that project, press on the edit icon in the navbar, press on the save as icon at the bottom. You can then enter the new project name and then press yes. It will then save the project as the new project. And you can repeat this process if you want to make multiple versions of the same project, so you can edit them differently and then group them all together later in the project screen. So that is the basic step-by-step progression of how the DialogMaster Pro app works. If you want more detailed step-by-step instructions, you can press on the more icon in the navbar and then select instructions, and it will take you to the website where you can find detailed explanations for all functions. I hope this helps, and thanks for watching.